So I'm starting this painting of the shoreline with a very large old growth stump that landed on our beach about a year ago. It's enormous and it hasn't moved since. And at high tide it's particularly beautiful with the water surrounding it. So I'm starting off this painting wetting the paper in some areas. Here I'm putting some yellow ochre on the sky. I want the sky and the water that's in sunlight to be very light on the page. So there's actually a little bit more color in the sky than there is on the water as I'm moving down to the water. But keep this very diluted when you put this on. Next, I'm painting the bluffs in the background, and I'm making sure this has a very distinct blue color to cause it to recede in the distance, and use primarily cerulean, but not as a pure pigment. Always gray it or mix it down with something else. You experiment to see what you need to accomplish what the desired effect is. I've included, I believe, a little bit of green apatite and maybe a hint of burnt sienna. Allow the top of the bluff in the distance. This is the initial wash that's going down. Later you'll see I will pass over it again, top with the darker wash of the bluff, so that some of that yellow ochre comes through and causes this effect of sunlight hitting that distant bluff. It looks like that actually happens a little bit later in the painting, but look for it when that happens. Use the techniques we've been working on this last month for doing a warm undertone color when it comes to these timbers, the trunks of the trees. I'll say it again, but when the painting is in this stage, you just got to have faith that you can pull it all together, because it looks like it's hopeless, really, in a way. But you've got to keep building it. That's the thing with watercolor. You just keep building it. That horizontal line represents what'll be a branch that actually is there, that floated in at high tide. It kind of represents the high tide line in the last week or so, and it just rested on that large stump in that manner. I'm tilting the board towards me pretty dramatically in order to get this wet wash to flow down the page and appear very watery and soft. So normally we paint light to dark, but in this case I'm painting some darks, and I will come back and fill in the cast shadow on the distant water after I do the darkest shape. And the reason why is that once I get down to those rocks, I want to drag some of that blue into the cast shadow in the water in front of the rock, and it allows me to blend it together more naturally that way. One of my intentions on this painting is to develop drama by having quite a contrast between the darks on the right side of the sheet and the lights coming off the water on the left. There is no intention on balancing darks on the left side of the sheet, and you'll see that as I further develop the painting. Notice how quickly the overhanging branches get placed. Very loose, expressive, semi-dry brush strokes. Be sure not to fuss too much on creating individual branches and leaf structures. Just keep it as loose and free as possible, with keeping the direction of the brush strokes fairly consistent with a little bit of variety, but primarily they're reaching out over the water. After studying my painting the next morning, I decided it was missing the reflections of the stump in the water, that it just wasn't strong enough yet. I liked the softness of the water, but it needed that. So you'll see that in the final still image that I send you.